good afternoon, or good evening rather, on today, February 21st, 2021. My, we have already almost gone through 52 days in the year, leaving us with about 313 more days. And of recent times, I've been focusing a lot about the violence that would have been perpetrated on women, and I so absolutely abhor violence against women. But at one point, I would have also mentioned that we need to have a balance and we must also look into our men. Many times in society, our men are given a bad rap, and very often with good reason, because sometimes they just act arbitrarily, they act irresponsibly, and so many other things that they shouldn't be doing. And of course, we are in no way suggesting here that we should turn a blind eye, but rather what I'm saying here is that we need to look a little deeper to see what's really going on with men. Very often, men aren't listened to. They themselves don't even listen to themselves. They don't talk about things. And so many things are left silent. There are also a number of words that are used to describe men in the most derogatory manner. And I hate and abhor when men use horrible words to describe women. And equally, I feel the same when women do that towards men. Because I think about human dignity all the time, and that's very important to me. Because I think all of us should be afforded some dignity as far as being humans. And I think that men must be looked at more closely. And we sometimes do not do that. So, for a couple of hours, actually from since morning, I was thinking very much about what I was going to say and what I was going to write. And I started writing. I wrote about 3 lines and I put away the book because the thoughts weren't coming and I felt rather stuck. But it kept playing over in my mind and I thought I need to get to it. So within the last 15 minutes or so, I sat down and for some reason the words just kept coming. So here I am now, about to speak to you from my heart words, and the theme or the title: Boys and Men, they have hearts too, you know. Boys and men have hearts. First, he was that hungry, eager mouth sucking incessantly at his mother's breast. Then he became that chubby faced infant, that slender toddler, that sharp mouthed preschooler, allowed to say whatever he wanted, or even that silent introvert. He was always so well powdered up. He got rings in his ears, on his fingers, and he was name brand paraded. And again, he was always encouraged to speak out and say whatever he wished to say. Then later on, he became that rambunctious little brat, that worthless, lazy, insolent chap who on many occasions became that child, that boy who was extremely slow and ended up being at the bottom of his class in primary school. He was allowed to roam free. He was called names. He was allowed to loaf around all the time. And he was even allowed to be a nuisance to the elders around him with no recourse. Later on, he became that wild teenager. He became a school dropout. He was even a class nerd. He was too loud. He was too studious. He was antisocial. He was the girls' guys. He was cussed out. He was rejected. He was punished. He was isolated. He was not allowed to speak. And he did not speak. He was a weed smoking, rebellious youth who was never allowed to explain himself. Eventually, he became that leader, that worker. He also turned out into an irresponsible bum, a man of countless fruits, from the numerous seeds he had sown all over town. He became that drunk, that abuser, that basket case, that withdrawn soul, that lost creature trapped in his own cave. But after all of this, he's still that boy. He's that man who has cried his silent, unseen tears. He has a heart that he tries to harden with harsh words from a very soiled and foul tongue. He is that boy. He is that man with that aching heart that needs circumcision, that needs salving, that needs soothing, and even some balming. He does have a heart. He really does have a heart. It only needs some deep, thorough cleansing. I'm sure that many of us around know many men who may fit into the categories that I would have outlined here. And as I would have said before, we are in no way here trying to downplay how men ought to be responsible and even talk loosely about what they should or shouldn't be doing. All this is saying here is that beneath all of what's happening, women aren't the only ones who have hearts that hurt. We do have hearts that hurt as women, and our hearts hurt very hard. But men, I dare say, they have hearts too. Men and boys have hearts. Those of us with men who are around us, who have siblings, who have husbands, boyfriends, who have co-workers, men around us, sons even. We need to keep our eyes open. We should never allow, of course, them to take lightly their responsibility. But we must always look deeper, and we must also be aware that men have hearts that can hurt.